What's good, fight fans? Your Majesty speaking. I wanted to hop on here and give my fresh thoughts after watching Chris Eubank versus Conor Benn 2. A fight that the first fight was one of those fights where I was highly impressed with the action of that fight. And one of the things I noticed about Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr., and it could be from the rivalry from the dads, is the energy surrounding the fight is always high energy. It's always a high magnitude of energy when those two fight. And so even before they step in the ring, their fight, the first fight and this fight, it always feels like a very, very important fight. You sometimes you get this feeling when it was, I think the last time I had this feeling was Canelo Crawford was, one of those fights where it's like the anticipation is high. And so you can feel the energy. You can somehow through the TV, you can feel the energy of the crowd. And one of the times I felt it, Wilder versus Fury 3, Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, the energy is always high, especially in those fights where they like in London or overseas or somewhat. I don't know if it's the amount of people in the stadium or whatever it is, I like it. And the first fight lived up to the hype of the anticipation. So this was a fight that I was actually excited to watch and was happy and waiting for. And actually I was thinking about, going over there and wanting to actually be in attendance for that fight. But I'm glad that I didn't, because, and sadly, I didn't get an opportunity to do a pre-fight prediction. I had some things that I needed to run around and do today. But I said yesterday that Chris Eubank looked weight drained. I know he normally fights at a higher weight. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was fighting at 168. And so draining down to 160 for the second time in a row, I think really was a hindrance to him. Conor Benn seemed and looked a lot bigger, stronger, faster, more healthier than Chris Eubank Jr. And I think that played a part in the fight today, because the punches that you seen from Chris Eubank Jr. had no pop on it, had no zip. And Conor Benn was able to pretty much feint Chris Eubank Jr. out of his game. One of the things I love seeing from Conor Benn was his feint game. His feint game tonight was magnificent. And then he was shooting his jab from his, using his feints and shooting his jabs off rhythm. Great footwork. A lot of times he was off balance because Conor can't help himself. Sometimes he just gets wild. But for the most part, he fought an excellent fight. However, I don't think Chris Eubank Jr. was at his best. I don't know if that's a Bomac thing where Bomac didn't prepare him properly, which I can't really see that either. I think it's just more so fighting at a weight that he's too big to be fighting at. But all in all, Chris Eubank, I think if he is to fight again, he should probably move up to 168 and chase an opportunity there. I'm not sure what Bud plans on doing at that weight, if he plans on keeping the belts at that weight or what. But I think Chris Eubank's opportunity to win a belt would more than likely be at 68, where he seems a lot more of a healthier fighter. I did want to speak on the 12th round, and I appreciate the ref in what he did in that 12th round. I know a lot of people may not have paid attention to it, but when Conor Benn dropped Chris Eubank, if you go back and look at it, you'll see the ref looks up at the clock to check the time, and then he kind of like talks to Chris Eubank for a couple seconds, knowing that the round is about to end. I think we all knew that Conor Benn had the fight in the bag. So to keep Chris Eubank from taking any more punishment, he kind of talked him through the knockdown to, you know, kind of overly question him to run the clock out, so that to run the timeout or the end of the round out, so that Conor didn't have a chance to do more damage, you know. And I thought that was good on his part. Another thing, in round one, he asserted his dominance as the referee. He pulled them both to the center and said, look, we're not doing this today. All that roughing and shouldering and shit and pulling each other down, we're not doing that. We're going to cut it out now, or I'm taking a point. And I think that sometimes that is necessary from a referee standpoint. But after the fact, they both showed great respect for each other. At the end of the day, this is a gentleman's sport. And yeah, you fighting, and yeah, you know, you want to knock each other's head off, but at the end of the day, you normally gain respect for a person that you went 12 rounds with, or a person that, you know, in this case 24 rounds. And I thought that was good. Chris Eubank didn't make any excuses, even though I feel like he was weight drained. He didn't make any excuses. He showed love to Conor Benn, and he, like he said, Conor Benn was the better man tonight. We 1-1 at this point. Conor Benn says this trilogy, this rivalry, this family rivalry is over. Like, I'm not doing it no more. I think Chris Eubank probably wants to settle the score and break the tie, whatever the case may be. At this point, I don't think I'm excited enough to put any effort into seeing that fight a third time, especially if it's at 160. I just don't think that Chris Eubank will be himself at that weight. After the fact, they asked Conor Benn what's next for him. If not Chris Eubank Jr., then what? He stated he's going back to 147. He called out Devin Haney. He called out Ryan Garcia. He called out Rolly Romero. However, looking at Conor Benn tonight and at the weigh-in, Conor looks good at 160. Now, I think I would be more of a fan of him moving to 154 and maybe campaigning there. That's actually where all the smoke is at anyway. But I think after fighting these two fights at 60 and filling out the way that he did, I think it's going to be hard for him, even though he's 29, you know, he's considered in his prime. I think it's going to be hard for him to comfortably fight at 147. And I think he may be fighting at a disadvantage if he drops that much weight. I get it. He's an Eddie Hearn guy. Boots is an Eddie Hearn guy. 9 times out of 10, he not trying to put them on the same path. And so I understand it. But I'm one of those people. I want people to fight at their best. If your best weight is 54, fight at 54. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes being a weight bully can come at a price. And sometimes that price is being dehydrated. You know, not feeling comfortable, not having the punch resistance to withstand certain punches at a weight when you're weight drained. You know, if you look at Terrence Crawford, when Crawford was at 135, it seemed like he was getting rocked all the time. And a lot of people thought that it was contributing to his chin. And in reality, now looking back in hindsight, you can look and say, it may have just been that he was fighting at a weight that was too small. He was losing too much water, you know, draining down that much. People like Devin Haney. I think people say Devin Haney is chinny. But once again, I don't think he's a chinny fighter. I just think he was fighting at a weight class that was way too small for what his natural size is. Devin Haney is not 9 times out of 10 a natural welterweight that was sucking down to make 135 to pretty much weight bully. But I think Devin Haney's punch resistance will be a whole lot better at this weight because I feel like it's his natural weight. Same thing with Bud. We see Canelo stumble people, drop people, and Bud didn't budge. And 9 times out of 10, it was because he was healthy. You see Chris Eubank hit Conor Benn over 24 rounds and never really stumble him. But I think it's more so him being closer to that weight where he's naturally good at is a much better fit than draining down. So I would love to see Conor Benn stay at 54 and fight the Virgil Ortizes, the Bootses, the Spencers if he come back, Charlo, whatever the case may be. I think he looked absolutely good at 160. He boxed well. He moved well. He was quick. His jab was fast. He was able to stay off rhythm and keep his jab pumping, but from a rhythm where you couldn't really catch it because of him using his feints. I thought he did a beautiful job tonight, and I definitely would love to see him at 154. Like I said, I think 147 is a bit, at this point after fighting at 160, it's hard to go back down there. But let me know, did y'all watch the fight? If y'all did, what did y'all think? I think I had Chris Eubank winning a round, maybe the first round I think I may have gave him, but other than that, it was a whitewash. And then he damn near got stopped in the 12th. So wasn't exciting as the energy, gave the perception of. And so, I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't think I would ask for another one. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. And if you have not followed my page, please do so. Please hit the notification icon so that you can be notified when I drop future videos. And also share the video. Also, if you have not followed my social medias, they are in front of you. Sorry. Please do so. And until next time.